Hello there, and we're back. It's been a minute or two,
or 3 or 10,
or
perhaps
3 or 10, but we are back in the galaxy, far, far away, but coming through the sound waves to pleasure your ocular receptors.
Ocular and oral receptors. Whether you're a humanoid or a droid,
yeah.
We got you covered.
Exactly, my friend. And yeah, it's been what we've probably had a 6-month hiatus, but there was an awakening, and we felt it.
And we got on the same page, and we were able to link together, and here we are, kicking things off one more time. So if you were wondering where the heck are these fools, fret not, we've returned. We had to navigate a very interesting field of life events. It was, I guess, quite the asteroids belt, if you will. We have new additions to the Star Wars family, even. Our Younglings Corner has grown to another member, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But we found a new calling. I think the Force spoke to us a little bit, and we've decided to really lean into doing some deep dives, to opening up the Jedi archives, cracking into some holocrons, and taking some deep looks into characters, planets, ships, could be items in Star Wars. We got a full list of things we're excited to talk about.
And don't forget suggestions as well. We're all as before. We're always open to suggestions, comments, and recommendations of things that people would like us to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And you can reach us at. Okay, here we go. Pulling into the memory banks. I'll do the email. You're going to do the speak pipe, all right?
Hang on a minute. We haven't done this for 6 months.
All right. Well, I was looking at them both.
I'll give it a go.
Okay.
I hope you've got them open.
Yeah. All right. The email is only starwarsfools@gmail.com.
Or you can leave us a voice note at speakpipe/onlyfools.
That's really close. It's 90% there. Speakpipe.com/onlyfools. So if you're not sure what that looks like, go take a look at our last season. Listen to what we had going on. We had some great callers call in with questions, thoughts that really guided our episode. So if you've got some thoughts, questions, wonderings, or you want to add on to something we did at a deep dive, drop us a voice note, send us an email, leave a comment. Sam's shaking his head. That's okay. There's always going to be next time.
Well, the only consolation I take is it almost wouldn't have been right and proper if I'd have got it correct the first time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We don't want to misinform people of what this is.
We're a legacy brand.
Yeah, exactly. We are the fools. That's the name. That's the reason for the name of this podcast. We are the fools. And hopefully you all are those who will follow us. And, Sam, maybe do you want to give a little background to the title of the show, or do we just leave that for viewers and listeners to figure out as they go?
I reckon that's a whole deep dive in and of itself, but we will get there. We will get there. Let's leave that little tantalizing gem out there for the most observant of and perceptive Force users that might be out there in the galaxy.
I love it. Gives us something to continue to chat about. There are lots of little links in our show title and in the logo. So we look forward to you trying to poke those apart. That's why we love Star Wars, right? So much in the galaxy to talk about. Absolutely. So let's kick it off. We're going to kick off this deep dive segment, and I think there's nobody better to start it with than with Anakin Skywalker himself. He was meant to bring balance to the Force, but there were many questionable decisions along the way that ended up him doing the exact opposite. So I think
levitating a mango is, still.
It was more of a pear than a mango.
That's a very dubious decision in my view, and Obi-Wan would have been very upset.
He would have been very disappointed. He would have rather levitated one of his Eope steaks from Tatooine, I think. I think this, though. Let's strap in, get your blue milk. Well, I don't have blue milk, but I do have my Yoda water glass from my wedding. Get it all ready because we are going to get ready to punch it. Punch it. Let's start where it all begins. and it's Anakin. I think the first major face of his is as a slave and growing up on Tatooine, and that's where we first get to see him as a 9-year-old, very innocent Jake Lloyd boy
Mm.
who's living with his mom, both slaves working for Watto.
Mm. And at that time, he thought that the biggest problem in the galaxy was that nobody helps each other,
Right.
um, and he was right.
Yeah.
So,
I guess he
you know,
he was the chosen one to fill the need in that area. Yeah. Yeah. And so thinking back to Phantom Menace,
mm,
and I think George's goal was that we really see Anakin as this innocent, like prepubescent little child, and I think that was perfectly captured. But his choice to leave Tatooine, was it really his choice, or was it solely Qui-Gon kind of being a rogue Jedi in the moment, or was it the Force speaking to a greater level? I mean, what actually resulted in
well,
him
we have to be a
leaving
bit careful
Tatooine?
with this because we could accidentally sort of paint Qui-Gon in not a particularly positive light because he he was a bit forceful about making sure that Anakin was separated from his mother and taken
Yeah, yeah,
light years away
right. Which on the face seems wrong, but also that's what the
in
Jedi
a
did.
number of ways, in a number
Yeah,
of
yeah,
levels.
yeah. But that was the Jedi. That was the Jedi Order. Truly, is we are. If you look at it at face value, we are looking for the brightest amongst us and the youngest amongst us, and we're going to try to take them away from their families and bring them to the temple. Which I think for most people that worked for most Jedi. For Anakin, though, it seemed like he was never able to overcome his like love and sense of longing for those he cared about. And the first person that was for his mother, for Shmi
Well,
Skywalker.
that was his big problem, right? Wasn't it? That it was the attachment. Obviously the Jedi Order? You have to forgo any emotional bonds and attachment like that, and he just could not do it. He just couldn't do it,
Right.
which is
So
true for so many people.
yeah, yeah. So is that? I guess I bring it back. Is that on Qui Gon to recognize? Yeah, I think there's something special here, but there's too many conflicts, too many emotions going on, and he's too old to begin the training.
Well,
Do we need to reel it back a little bit? Does this have to happen now? Can I leave him on Tatooine and I can circle back at some point? It just seemed like it started Anakin off on not the greatest foot for somebody who is so powerful with such an intense attachment, which the Jedi considered to be something that can lead to the dark side, as having too strong of attachment.
Well, that's where I think that's where the obviously Qui Gon's premature demise was so pivotal because there is a theory out there if you think about it that if Qui Gon had survived the encounter with Maul, um, then he would have gone on to continue being Anakin's master and probably would have fulfilled the role in a more satisfactory way or established way than Obi-Wan did. Obi-Wan sort of almost adopted that role somewhat begrudgingly. He never wanted to take Anakin in the first place. Do you remember he said, why do I get the feeling we've picked up another pathetic life form? He
So
called him
true.
pathetic.
Yeah, yeah, not exactly brimming with confidence in
No,
this.
he didn't want anything to do with it. And
Right.
then it was like because Qui-Gon got him to promise on his deathbed. He said, "You promise me you'll train the boy. Promise me."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Obi-Wan was like, "Oh, but you bastard! Why did you go and say that?
Yeah. You
Would
you
you have
knew
to say that?"
just the right thing to twist to get me
Yeah.
to do it and follow
If his
through.
reaction was, "Oh, you, what'd you have to go and say that for?" As you were
Oh,
dying,
Qui-Gon, you're
"Oh,
such a
you
jokester.
bugger!"
Yeah.
And then he goes away, and then Yoda actually, he does preface all of this. He says, "The chosen one the boy may be, but grave danger I fear in his training." So he's already given that. He's kind of given that cursory tale about, um, you know, yes, very talented, but he is very attached to the life that he's already in. Not that he didn't have the privileged life. He was the slave boy, but.
Right. Right.
Somehow
And
ended up a bit bratty in episode 2, though. But I don't know.
I guess you go from nothing to being given everything. Yeah, there's
Mm,
some behavioral challenges that can arrive from that. But thinking of Yoda too, he had seen Jedi fall previously, and he had seen dark Force users with great power. So it feels like he might have
mm,
been a bit more trepidatious in
mm,
allowing all of this. In the High Republic, book series, there's a lot of people with a lot of power not using it in the light side, and I just wonder if that would have informed his judgment a bit more. Thinking about, well, it still pains me thinking about the end of Acolyte season 1 and where
oh,
that could have gone, because we see Yoda enter in there. Is he complicit in knowing that there were other Dark Force users out there and he hid it and kept it quiet, and that's why he doesn't bring it up in Phantom Menace? We can create all of our own stories, but yeah, it seems like there were lots of assumptions along the way in the Jedi Order that everything would just work out fine, while they were also voicing plentiful concerns again and again and again and again. So we've got the 9-year-old on Tatooine who falls in love with Padme pretty quickly. So he quickly gets a second attachment there, and
mm-hmm.
he's about ready to depart his planet and leave his mother
Well,
behind.
you swap one woman for another. I mean, it's part of
Yeah,
part
that's
of
that's
life.
that's the Freudian complex, isn't it?
It's a Freudian, yeah. Provided that's your persuasion, then that's how it goes.
Right. I guess anything else for this first part? I'm thinking of the many arcs of Anakin. Um, he maybe one more thing that I can think about is for his pod racing. He was really leaned on there to be the star of the show and to be the hero. And I don't know if he'd experienced that yet as the 9-year-old, with all of his friends just kind of working on pods and never finishing a race. But once he had the backing of this Jedi and these amazing people from space who he never imagined he would encounter, and then he won the day, I wonder if that was some additional, like,
I
oh, I
want to
really
do it.
enjoyed that. I want to find that again and again
Yeah.
and again and again.
Can I go, Mom? I want to do it. I want to go. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, look, I've got a 9-year-old boy, and I think 100% the same. Like if he was in that same boat where suddenly he's, won all this, that, and the other, and he's got the opportunity to go off and train to become a real Jedi, he wouldn't look back in a heartbeat. I know he wouldn't. He's also that sort of mentality. So yeah, I don't really can't really blame Anakin for any of it, really. Oh, I mean, except for the later stuff,
Yeah,
the butchery and the,
right.
I mean,
The
that's on
killing
him.
of
That is on him. That is
that
on
seems a
him.
bit more the women and the children.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe some of
it's
that.
like
There were some choices.
we don't absolve Hitler, do we? His,
Yeah, just because he was a baby at some point.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I
But
guess that leads us to the next kind
but
of chapter.
we understand where he came from. So that's where he came from, and then he went from that status, as you say, started with the pod race, and then of course actually taking down an entire Trade Federation vessel by luck, by
Right.
chance,
By the will of the
or
Force.
the wills of the Force. But however it happened, he's got this status as the
Right.
chosen one.
Yeah.
And then, I suppose you then fall in love with your own legend a bit, don't you? And when you enter that period of, he enters the period of, episode 2, the Attack of the Clones, and then Clone Wars following that. And he is very much the hero in the Clone Wars, isn't he?
Yeah. He's almost like the early blooming jock in high school who
Mm-hmm.
was a bit of a schmuck, a nobody in elementary school, and gets to high school and suddenly has bigger muscles than everyone and dominates at the sports and
Yeah,
kind of
Steve Harrington.
builds his ego.
Yeah. From
It was
Stranger
really
Things.
bad timing.
Yeah.
And makes the whole sentiment of too old to begin the training really feel pertinent.
Yeah.
That he didn't have a lot of the foundational skills needed to accept all this power that he has and to use it solely for good and for others, because he uses it for his own personal desires, which feel very much for others because they're for his mother, they're for Padme, they're for these children that he's trying to save in the Clone Wars. But it seems to come from this inner desire to kind of be the hero, which I think that's our next phase, is when Anakin really does become the hero. He becomes the Jedi. He also becomes the master, and he has his own Padawan. So, what are some thoughts during this kind of Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker era?
Well, I mean, I think this is like when I think about particularly my own kids' engagement with Star Wars, because obviously I'm an OG Star Wars fan, in terms of where my journey began was with the original trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but my kids obviously we started with the movies, but episode 1 is certainly by far away the most palatable to a 5-year-old brain, and it works really, really well on that front. So that's where they kind of started, and then leading from that into the Clone Wars seasons, and how much they absolutely love the Clone Wars, and my kids will watch it annually. Every summer at some point when we go on holiday somewhere, they'll start just watching every single episode from back to back, and they've definitely gone through the entire 7 seasons twice already.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
it's kind of like what I used to do, where I used to do like lazy Saturday afternoons where I would do the entire OG trilogy, the original trilogy, all in one go.
Mm-hmm.
They would do similar things with just watching back-to-back episodes of Clone Wars, but over the span of weeks.
Yeah.
As you can imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
so they lean into Anakin as the hero. He's kind of their hero, more so in some ways than Luke is, if you
Wow.
see what I mean. From my perspective, like Luke
Yeah,
is
yeah, I get that.
he's my kind of hero, but
Yeah.
I think they lean into Anakin a lot more.
Right, and they've seen Anakin be the hero
Mm.
as just pure minutes more than they have seen Luke Skywalker be the hero, which I think is one of the Star Wars fans' bemoanings about the sequel trilogy, is they would have loved to have seen Luke Skywalker be the hero a bit more, where
Yeah.
there's a good deal in some comics and books, but it just didn't make it into the movies.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take from
which
the
is where the
Younglings.
Mandalorian kind of, I don't want to say retconned it, but tried to fix it somewhat with his entrance at the end of
Right.
season 2, with going through and taking out all the dark troopers. It was his hero moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody wanted to see Luke at full strength as a full Jedi.
Yeah, leveled up, if you will.
Leveled up, yes, exactly. But back to Anakin. I think at this stage in his life, the hero stage, I mean, he was very much headstrong, thought a lot of himself.
Yeah.
Becomes a little arrogant.
Becomes very arrogant, known for being the arrogant one. to the point where anytime there's a mission that's laid out and they're doing the like holographic transmission planning before they actually leave, everybody looks at Anakin and goes, yeah, he probably won't be following orders. He's going to do his own thing. He basically gets his own squadron of clone troopers who just love the fact that he isn't like any other Jedi. And yeah, if you watch any Clone Wars arc, there's almost the general Jedi mission, and then there's Anakin on his own tangent mission consistently across the board. So yeah, he's more of a hero than he is a Jedi during
he's
that
a maverick.
Time. Totally a maverick, which is what Qui-Gon was. He was the maverick Jedi. He didn't want to sit on the council. He didn't really buy into all of that. He thought it was more about the becoming one with the Force in the most simple and truest way, and really leaning into that and communing with the Force, where he wanted to step away from a lot of the bureaucracy of the Jedi Order in a way.
You know what the difference is?
Let's hear it.
Humility.
Yeah.
So
humility versus hubris, which is what Luke says later on.
Exactly.
The Jedi Order is full of hubris.
Exactly, and Anakin was massively arrogant. Bought into his own legend, whereas Qui-Gon was a maverick. He was his own man. He forged his own path, but he was humble at the same time, and didn't think so much of himself and became, obviously a very wise Jedi Master. And I think that's where the point is, that if he had been able to stay, or had survived and stayed as Anakin's master, then maybe Anakin would have learned more of these traits. And I'm thinking about even in my own life, I'm trying to teach my 9-year-old to be a bit more humble,
Right.
and that's something that he struggles with as well. So that's why I know that he would, in a heartbeat, he would go off and be a Jedi, but he would also fall in love with his own legend. And it slightly worries me that
as we keep going into this deep dive segment,
this could end up being a deep dive into
into your little one.
Yeah. But yeah,
it makes so during this Clone Wars era, some key things that I had thought about. One of my favorite pieces of Star Wars content is the Mortis arc, where Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan end up on this kind of mystery planet via a wormhole, if you will, filled with lots of visions of grandeur that may or may not be actually happening in front of them. But it really showed Anakin that if you keep doing what you're doing, it could lead to something bad, but he continued to make those choices anyway. He just couldn't overcome that. And it made me think of, while that is some of my favorite content, I think one of my favorite quick little vignettes it's a season 2 episode. I actually had to pull it up, and can we take a look here?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can show
it. If we have that kind of level of skill.
Yeah, pull it up. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, our unit's going to pull it up here in just a moment. We're going to see if we can play this. All right, here we are. This is season 2, episode 13, Voyage of Temptation.
Everyone on this ship. Almost everyone. Come on, then. Who will strike first and brand themselves a cold-blooded killer?
Anakin. What? He was gonna blow up the ship.
If you were to show a scene that describes overall Anakin's struggle with being this hero and trying to figure out this Jedi role, I think that's it. And shows the fallacy of Obi-Wan's leadership. He's met with Anakin, like, oh, I really don't want to be dealing with this. He just seems like the exhausted older brother. I really can't handle, and I got my girlfriend Satine here. Like, come on, you're making me look bad.
I think the worst thing about that scene is it's almost a little bit too on the nose, because it's kind of like, well, that is literally it's not like Anakin, you've spilt the milk again.
Yeah,
it's like literally, it's the worst possible thing you could do. Is murder in cold blood
from behind.
They came from behind. And then he's just kind of, there we go again. He's murdering people again.
Yeah, again. I can't handle it. But just going into the Vader theme there, I think it's brilliant. But Anakin's point here is that, and he comes up multiple times in Clone Wars, is if I didn't do this, then what would happen? He'd blow up the whole ship. Hundreds of people would be killed. He's kind of allowed to linger on with this argument of, well, if I don't strike first, look at all the people that would die. And it really shows how far the Jedi have fallen from the High Republic, that they've really lost sense of who they are, because they entertain the idea. I mean, he's allowed to continue being a practicing Jedi and leading squadrons of clone troopers. Now, is that because the Emperor has thrown everything into so much disarray that the Jedi have become so clouded, or is it that the Jedi before then were losing their way and that allowed the Emperor to be able to rise? I think that's maybe its own deep dive conversation there.
I think so. I think that could become very, very deep.
Yeah, but it's perfect timing because it allows Anakin to grow and blossom into this strange hero Jedi, failure.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose, he goes from that sort of level of notoriety, fame, glory, and then but he's always showing signs of that that he's willing to go to those dark places, and that there is a dark side just waiting to sort of be fully unleashed. Even though I think that episode kind of exemplifies that it was already. I mean, that if it wasn't,
it had already run a bit wild.
It had already gone a bit far at times.
Yeah.
So his eventual fall, was it really that much of a surprise if he was stabbing people in the back from
right?
Yeah.
But I think that's where it really illuminates the power of Palpatine, because I don't think any of this is possible if the dark shadow of the Phantom Menace isn't over all the Jedi and over the Jedi Order, because Yoda says again and again, things are just a bit cloudy. We can't really, it's hard to see at the moment.
Rolled his eyes. Anakin again, was it?
Yeah. There's Anakin again, but we've got this whole war going on, and I can't quite see what's beyond the fuzzy edges of the Force. So, yeah, just perfect timing for Anakin to run amok, which really brings it to the next chapter where things get even more intense in Revenge of the Sith, and Palpatine really puts all of his cards on the table and keeps showing Anakin visions of Padme dying during childbirth. So that I kind of think is the transition to him becoming this really a broken father before he even becomes a father. So what changes in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, well, it's I suppose, well, it's, if you think about it, when I think about the movies, the first change really kicks in Attack of the Clones when Mother dies. That's the first one, and then you already see that change in that darkness, and then you see it more through the Clone Wars with acts like the one we just saw. So I don't think it was. Yeah, it wasn't as sudden a transition, change as what it maybe comes across as if you just watch the movies. I think that's why Clone Wars is great, because you actually see a bit more of a protracted trajectory.
Nailed it.
If you're a fan of the movies but haven't gone into the Clone Wars, then obviously this is highly recommended, because you do get a lot more fleshing out of those prequel characters, and in particular Anakin. That was the biggest kind of boon of the series in a lot of ways. And I think you do sort of see it as more of a protracted event, or a gradual decline into the darkness, and then so by the time we see him acting quite irrationally in Revenge of the Sith, we can accept it, because we've seen him be, as we've just seen in that episode, massively irrational, all a number of times all through the Clone Wars. So it's not so much of a he always did seem a bit of a dodgy one.
But it was always excused by the fact that it was in a war, and it always seemed like dire straits for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched the Clone Wars, or you do want to go back and watch some of the Clone Wars, but you don't have the, I don't know, maybe 80 hours required to watch all of it.
Yeah, the months of summer holidays that my kids have.
Exactly. Just plan your time accordingly. But we have a spreadsheet where we had listed out some of the key arcs and episodes and what's in those. I'm going to put a link somewhere in the description where you can find that and be able to navigate. We've had some good feedback of people using that already. Thinking about one thing that changed overtly in Revenge of the Sith is, I think, just executing Count Dooku was the first real pillar to fall, because like the video we just saw, I mean, it's almost an execution, but the guy is trying to blow everybody up and he's still holding the upper hand. Dooku's on his knees and he could be taken captive, but he chose not to do that, and he chose to execute instead because of Palpatine. So I think there we see Anakin's master no longer being Obi-Wan, no longer being this memory of Qui-Gon. It's now fully Palpatine, whether he recognizes it or not. And then Palpatine just keeps digging deeper and deeper with these visions of Padme, with alluding to, do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And leaning into those interactions, seeding doubt, because knowing Anakin's biggest power is his love for those that he cares for. So yeah, he uses Padme against him.
Yeah, and I think that when he offs Dooku, that's the last time where you see he says, "I shouldn't have done that. That's not the Jedi way," and it's kind of like the last time where he really struggles with it. You see some scenes of him struggling internally, looking out over Coruscant and thinking, have I made the right choices with everything? But that's the last time where you see him actually sort of struggle about something that is abhorrent that he's done, essentially. By executing an unarmed man, regardless of how dangerous he is, literally unarmed.
Good point.
He's got no hands left.
Oh, poor Christopher Lee. He's
Exactly.
been through a lot.
And then that's the last time you actually see him sort of question whether or not he's done the right or wrong thing, and then from that point on, he's kind of almost he's almost immune to shame from that point forward, and that's the way that at that point that's when people do where they become perhaps irredeemable.
I think there was one final moment where the nail in the coffin was delivered, and it was delivered not by Palpatine but by the Jedi Order that continued to fail him and continued to recognize he has really strong attachments. How do we navigate this? They just kind of let it go and ignored it. When Mace Windu rocks up, and instead of leading with compassion, as the Jedi should, he leans into his Shatterpoint power and decides he's going to off Palpatine, even though he sees he's the Dark Lord. In the moment, though, to not recognize that, doing that would spike Anakin, another failure of the Jedi. So I think in that moment, Anakin, there was a chance for him to still be redeemed, but I think Mace Windu failed. But it wasn't just him. It was the Jedi in general. It was just an embodiment of the overall Jedi failure.
Yeah, I suppose actually where I said that was the last time where, with Dooku, that it was the last time, I suppose there's a part of him that, because he's still wrestling with the fact that he did that to Dooku, and he knew that it was wrong, and then he sees Mace Windu effectively about to do exactly the same thing, and he's hoping that Mace will adhere to a higher ideal than perhaps he did, even, so that he knows for sure that he's on the light side, he's on the right side, and that although he did something awful, because the guy he did it to was awful, I don't know, he would still be able to live with himself somehow, or find his way back to the Jedi if Mace had done it in the ideal way that he felt like it should have been dealt with. However, it was massive hypocrisy on Anakin's part in that.
100%.
Because
100%.
The way that he's dealt with Dooku is no different from the way Mace Windu was going to deal with Palpatine.
No, absolutely. So. But a fleggling child, they need, we can't say do as I say, not as I do. We have to show it to them, and we have to model it. And that was,
yeah, exactly. I think that's it. And that's the point about Qui-Gon, right? It's models, role model. He never had the model that he deserved or needed, and that's many a young man who's struggled. It's often been attributed to a lack of a role model, a positive male figure in life.
It makes my love for a character even stronger, though, as we talk about this, and that's Ahsoka, because Anakin may have benefited from Qui-Gon, but he still had a great Jedi in Obi-Wan as his master, where Ahsoka had Anakin, had almost this epitome of what a Jedi shouldn't be, and look how Ahsoka turned out. Now, there's so many layers, and there's a deep dive there for sure. And I think I would say the reason she became who she is because she chose not to be a Jedi. She says, I'm no Jedi, because she's seen how flawed and failed they really are. She kind of is recreating the Jedi Order by choosing to not be a Jedi and to not follow this Jedi path, because she's seen what absolute havoc it wreaks on everybody around them. So I think we didn't touch much on Anakin as the master and Ahsoka as the apprentice. I think we'll get there in a deep dive later on with Ahsoka.
Definitely. There's a lot to unpack there for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So then we transition, and then we really get in this moment when he kills Mace Windu. He's really no longer Anakin Skywalker. He turns to be Darth Vader. Do you think it's that? Do you think it's that
Sorry,
moment,
couldn't
or do you
resist.
think it's the moment on Mustafar where the real change happens?
I think it's the moment that we hear the words, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
Yeah, that's about as dark as Star Wars gets, I think.
I think it's that scene there where and then the answer is that's when you know, oh yeah. he's toast.
Yeah, he's gone.
Along
Right.
with all the children in that room.
Also toast and gone. Except for Grogu. Grogu made it out somehow.
Grogu made it out, and what's her name? The second sister. She's the Reva. Reva. What's her?
Yeah.
I can't remember which sister she is. There's too many sisters.
There's a lot of sisters.
But she got out as well.
Sisterhood of the traveling lightsabers.
But she got out and then played bad guy, and then in order to be able to get back at Anakin effectively,
right. Yeah,
and take him out.
Yeah, and if you want to see all this, that's the Kenobi series.
She played the long game.
Yeah. So he's effectively Darth Vader.
Mm.
So the meetup with Obi-Wan is more or less it's a bit of a moot point. He's already turned. He's already gone. Obi-Wan in the moment just needs to figure out, am I going to try to capture this guy if possible, dismember him, or am I going to kill him? And I guess he went for the middle. He decided we'll do some form of maiming and dismemberment and a slight char. So, yeah, just moving Vader from a humanoid form to more of a more machine now than man, twisted than evil.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
Now, Palpatine puts him in the suit, and then we get the no. That moment forward, though, there's still Anakin in there, and we see that in lots of different ways. One of the ways in Rebels, when Ahsoka is dueling with Anakin, and she kind of catches a piece of his helmet, and we can see his eye through there, and she can see in there, and she can see that there's Anakin, and is kind of trying to talk to him. In the Kenobi series too, there's this muffled vocoder where sometimes it's Anakin's voice, sometimes it's James Earl Jones's voice of Darth Vader, back and forth talking with Obi-Wan. So
effectively, there's the same scene in both Rebels and Obi-Wan. I think that's my only slight criticism of Obi-Wan, because I love the series, but I was a bit upset that they sort of ripped off the sequence with Ahsoka in Rebel season 2 and did the same thing with Obi-Wan, because it kind of gets a bit like, well, how many times has he had his helmet cut open by a lightsaber?
Yeah, a few times. Look, it's poetry. It rhymes, right?
It is.
That's what George said. So we gotta pay homage to it.
We gotta swing with it, but yeah, it was a bit like, could we not thought something else? But yeah,
right. See, I kind of liked it because it took something that only some of the most diehard fans would see in an animated show, and it put it on something, live action with Ewan McGregor. So,
and it did look great. It looked fantastic. And the fact that we got to see it was kind of like we talked about with Luke as well, with the hero moment. We got to see a big hurrah for Ewan's Obi-Wan getting a hero moment when he buried him in the rocks, and that was cool.
Yeah. So then we get this idea that Anakin and Vader are there to a certain extent, but then by the time we see Vader in the Tridge, that seems mostly like that's just Darth Vader, more or less until the very end when he gets saved by his son, and then there's that final turn back to Anakin Skywalker in his last moments. Tell your sister she was right.
Yeah, I don't think you see much doubt until, I mean, maybe in some of the comics and things, there's moments where you see thought bubbles and whatnot of Vader sort of maybe thinking, have I made the right choices in life? But because he'll go through like middle age, right, while he's in that suit, and I'd like.
Prostate's given out. He's got to get up and pee in the middle of the night. And with his suit, you'd say, "Oh, I really wish I'm Mustafar. I just, given up to the high ground."
As a middle-aged man myself, I often wake up in the middle of the night and think, "Oh, I need to put my my apparatus on and."
And you hear the same thing. No.
Have I made the right choices in my life? No. But yeah, so he goes through all that, and then he's like, well, I'm already gone. I'm already. There's no point. It's too late for me, son.
Yeah.
He's already said that. He's already like, I've already done too much horrible stuff. It's like there's no bringing me back. But until he sees the pain of his offspring at the hands of the man who he then attributes the blame for causing his whole life of pain. I think in some of the comics it alludes to this, that he has already realized that Palpatine essentially orchestrated his entire downfall and where he's ended up. And I think he knows it, and he at that point it's just
what is there to fight for as Vader, though? In that moment, you're already so far gone. You have no family. You have no semblance of any part of who you previously were as Anakin. You probably just keep going with it.
Is it pure natural instinct of like, that is my offspring? The only thing that I need to do as a living organism is to ensure the survival of my bloodline.
Right.
I mean, that seems a bit clinical, but
a bit Freudian, some would say.
Yeah, exactly. So, but is that what sort of twists it? But I think there's more to it than that. That the fact is that there was still good in him. There's still a part of him that remember Simba. That's a different one, but still James Earl Jones.
What a legend. There you go. Good tie-in.
Remember who you are. Basically, he remembers who he used to be, and he remembers. Hang on a minute. When I suppose at that point he sort of thinks, well, hang on a minute. I used to be the hero. I used to be General Anakin Skywalker. I was the hero, and now, what am I?
Yeah. He'd been okay with being the most powerful being in the galaxy for a while, but nothing beats being the hero.
And I think what it is, it's the typical thing. He didn't realize that Luke and Leia were alive, right? So the motivation was always about his attachment to Padme and losing Padme. That was what really sparked his descent into darkness, and then I suppose meeting Luke and actually realizing that, hang on a minute, maybe there is a future for me. There is more, whether it's love or whether what it is. There's a connection there that could be explored, where even if it's just pure from an evil standpoint of like getting Luke to join him to overthrow Palpatine in the future and rule the galaxy as father and son.
Right.
Because that was what's really cool when you think about it in terms of like Revenge of the Sith, when he sort of says to Padme, like, we could rule the galaxy together and make it how we want it to be.
Yeah.
He tries to do it with Padme, and then that's failed, and then he's evil, kill everyone, kill the whole world because Padme's gone. Then he meets Luke and goes, oh, we could we could make the galaxy as we want it to be, you and me, son.
Yeah, let's run it back. It didn't work the first time, but this time we can totally do it. Come on, we got this.
So there's enough emotional hooks there that kind of drive him to eventually going, you know what, old timer, you know what, you crooked old dog.
Yeah.
I've had enough of you. I'm going to lob you down this shaft.
Which surely will be the last time we ever see you. With all these little ones, we had an interruption with a youngling barged into our
recording session.
Yeah, into our recording session, which is perfect because I think it's time that we swing it over to our Younglings Corner.
truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
I could certainly hear a youngling in there.
My little Ewok is in the background just letting us know. I love it. That's perfect. I mean,
Sounds more
that's
like a
my
porg.
younglings. Yeah. Yeah. She's got a lot of porg moments for sure. That's been the big advancement in my Younglings Corner is I have a youngling now. She's 3 months old and has been doing fantastic. I sent you a photo this morning of her and her Ewok toy. She's got all the Star Wars things. A Star Wars mobile that her grandmother made. She sleeps in a Star Wars sleep sack. She's gotten some pretty fun things. You sent a Grogu onesie that she quite loves. So yeah, she's having an absolute blast, and I'm figuring out how to be the Jedi Master.
Don't follow my lead on that example because, as I said, my eldest has already got the potential to fall to the dark side.
You were the chosen one, Anakin.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that happening. But yeah, no, I mean, it is probably the most significant Younglings Corner update that we've got, really, is that, and what I'm really excited about is the fact that we get to start having all these conversations again about how to approach the first time viewings of the saga or any parts of the saga. And I think you were saying to me the other day that you really like Sam Witwer's take on the running order and how to approach it, because his view is that kids should watch Clone Wars first before any of the episodes, right? I think that was what he was sort of saying. So that Anakin is, so it's kind of related to this episode of ours here, that where Anakin is very much the hero, and then the impact is felt much greater.
When you get, by the time you get to Empire Strikes Back, when you add in the Clone Wars, it becomes so much more impactful. And he was saying from a child's perspective of, I got to be careful. I mean, I have to be careful of what I do to make sure I don't have a similar fall, but also to just be observant and keep an eye on those around us and be intentional of who we spend our time with. And if we start to see flaws, we can pivot and adjust and maybe try to help them. But yeah, he really, I mean, obviously he's on Clone Wars and he makes it amazing, but for the amount of extra stories you get that especially can be enjoyed by kids, it's tough to leave out, and to view it before getting into the original trilogy really makes those movies a lot more exciting for kids. So yeah, I could totally see doing that. She's already seen the first season of Mandalorian. I mean, she was maybe 2 weeks old when she wasn't sleeping in the middle of the night, and I'd come out on the couch and crack that on with my headphones. So she's seen parts of Grogu and Paz Vizsla blowing up, different bounty hunters. Yeah, that's something I'm really excited for. It's been a total joy to just see her be around Star Wars things already.
Yeah, no, that's the most exciting thing, and that's what Star Wars was for, right? It's for the kids. We're all just big grown-up kids at the end of the day. I mean, we're all just pretending,
right?
And so, yeah, 100%. And I'm excited to be with you there, because obviously you were there with my two, giving your thoughts on where to start, where to begin, and how to sort of build the initial excitement and attraction. And now I get to sort of lean into your journey and do the same thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's a blast. It's everything I could have hoped for. We'd had a journey. It took a bit of time to get to this point, so we definitely feel like we've finally gotten the chosen one, and yeah, she's arrived for sure. So we're doing all the Christmas things. She's already got her first ornament on the tree in between a Stormtrooper, a Grogu, and a BB-8. So she's already amongst her Star Wars friends.
That reminds me, that's obviously the run up to Christmas. We've got there's so much sort of good stuff out there for the younglings. One of the things that we've got, should I get it? Should I show it on camera?
Go for it.
Should I do it?
Do it. Do it.
Okay. Yeah, it's obviously a lead into, we're running up towards Christmas now, and there's so much around. But one of the things I didn't expect to see out there in the galaxy, and something that my good lady wife Mon Mothma got for me and the boys was this Advent
Yeah.
calendar pop-up book,
Amazing.
which is by Titan Books. It's official Disney Lucasfilm. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's basically you open up the book.
My goodness. You sent a photo, but it didn't do it justice. That is
It's a huge pop-up life tree, and then behind each door. So behind door number 1, you get a little booklet with various stories and things.
Yeah, cool.
And then behind each other sort of door, you get various Christmas ornaments, as you call them. We call them baubles.
Bubbles.
So there's a bauble there of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan
Nice.
having a chat. Obi-Wan saying, "Have we picked up another pathetic life form again?"
Yeah.
And then little Yoda thing, and then you hang them
on
on
your
the tree,
own
on your
life tree. Come on.
It's like
How
that.
cool.
And then the best thing about this is it's like old school advent calendars. It's like you can reuse it, not like the chocolate ones which we never had as a kid.
Yeah, where it's just gone.
So that's out there, everyone, to purchase.
Yeah. And is there a book, or there are separate stories for each day, or is there one bigger book as well?
So there's a few sort of snippets from some of the comics, actually. Anything where there's been a sort of mention about Life Day.
Gotcha.
Which is,
tied it all together.
For the uninitiated, is the Star Wars version of Christmas. And yeah, each of the baubles is supposed to be sort of an orb, a Life Day orb, which is a common Kashyyykian tradition, essentially. And Kashyyyk, obviously, referring to the Wookiees. What I didn't realize in this is that Chewbacca had a wife.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to get home to her in the holiday special.
Yeah, and so there's a line in there from the High Republic about where he was trying to get home to his wife.
Yeah, nice. There's Star Wars put out a couple years back. They were doing this lo-fi series on YouTube.
Yeah,
they were putting out videos that were an hour long a piece, and it features different places across the galaxy with some cool lo-fi music. And one of them is on Kashyyyk for Life Day. So you get this choral echoing of Wookiees in the background with some very peaceful, chill hop lo-fi music. So put that on, get your life tree out, hang your baubles. You're going to have yourself a very merry little Life Day.
Yourself a merry little Life Day.
Hey, I think in the meantime, I think it's time that we swing it over to current State of the Galaxy.
I still love the way you say that.
It's good. This is our place for little Star Wars related updates that are happening. Might not be something every single episode, but there was one that I wanted to chat about briefly, and that is confirmation that there will be a 50th year anniversary re-release of Episode 4, A New Hope, coming to theaters in 2027. Presumably, it looks like, as far as the press release that was put out, that it's going to be the original feature. So the unedited, unspecialed, original.
Yeah, un-1995.
Yeah, exactly. Un-McClunkied version of A New Hope, re-released in theaters across the country. Now, if that takes place, these tickets will fly. They'll be gone like absolute hotcakes. So I'm going to be keen to know when they actually drop, because I want to make sure that we definitely go and see it. But do you believe that it's going to be the actual original version?
That's amazing. I mean, this shows that it's testament to what the whole saga has done for people, right? And then what George's creation is, the vision that was, I don't know, just it's a testament to how timeless and special the whole thing is,
and a testament to the fandom itself, to this, to what we're doing, and how important and how powerful and how present it is across this whole galaxy, that people love Star Wars. They love to chat about it. They love to pick their own brains about it, bounce ideas off of each other, make some headcanon between each other, and still live in that universe of those original films with those figurines. We talk a lot about there was a long time with a lot of Star Wars content, and the only content we had was what's now the Legends books and whatever stories we made with those figurines that we had. And that is still strong enough to prompt Lucasfilm to re-release something that isn't available on Disney Plus. So yeah, I think it's amazing. It's a huge testament to the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and definitely got to be done.
Let's do it. Let's make sure it happens. Well, another thing we need to make sure happens is you know how to follow along. And if you do subscribe, then it means the next episode will just automatically show up to whatever your preferred listening platform is. You get a little notification, or if you turn those off, doesn't matter. It'll be on your home landing page. So subscribing is helpful for you, also helpful for us because it gets more exposure to even more people. This podcast has already been listened to in multiple countries around the world, which is amazing. We got our Spotify creators little Wrapped that had some features, and it declared that we were an international podcast, listened internationally more than 89% of other podcasts. And that's all because of the listeners, because of you subscribing and sharing to some of the people that who live in all the different rims of this galaxy. So we appreciate you for that.
I mean, it kind of helps that we both live in 2 different countries as well. So
it does. We get some more exposure that way. We hit some airwaves just because of that. So after you like and subscribe, you can send us an email at onlystarwarsfools@gmail.com. You can send us one of those voice messages. We'll play it in the episode. We'll chat about whatever you want to chat about. That's speakpipe.com/onlyfools. We'll have a link in the description to see the past episodes. And we appreciate you listening wherever you reside, whether it's the inner rim territories, mid rim, outer rim, even off in lost space. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
If you liked what you heard here today, don't forget to tell some more fools. Remember, who's the more fooling? The fools or the fools who follow them? Like and subscribe. Always.